The belief that Russia is winning did not emerge from a single battlefield victory or decisive moment. Instead, it grew slowly, fed by repetition, selective imagery, and a misunderstanding of what winning actually means in modern warfare. In earlier eras, victory was easier to define. Land captured, armies destroyed, treaties signed. Today, victory is fragmented, obscured by information warfare, economic endurance, and time. At first glance, Russia's size alone creates an impression of inevitability. Maps reinforce this illusion. Large swaths of territory shaded in one color can visually overpower nuance, making slow movement appear dominant even when strategic goals remain unmet. For many observers, size substitutes for success. But territory alone does not equal control, stability, or progress toward political objectives. Another contributor to the illusion is information asymmetry. Loud claims of success travel faster than quiet indicators of failure. A single missile strike, a dramatic video, or a bold official statement can dominate headlines, while logistical strain, troop rotation problems, and economic leakage remain invisible. When repetition replaces verification, perception hardens into belief. There is also a psychological factor: expectations. Many expected a short conflict. When that didn't happen, endurance itself was reframed as success. Survival became mistaken for dominance, yet enduring a war is not the same as winning one. A state can continue fighting while steadily losing leverage, resources, and future options. Modern war also unfolds across multiple arenas at once. Military fronts are only one layer. Economic pressure, diplomatic isolation, technological attrition, and demographic strain all shape outcomes over time. Focusing solely on daily battlefield movement ignores these slower, deeper forces. This narrow lens favors dramatic visuals over strategic reality. Finally, the idea of winning becomes emotionally charged. Once people align with a narrative, evidence that contradicts it feels like an attack on identity rather than information. Doubt becomes uncomfortable. This is why simplistic conclusions persist even as conditions evolve. Part 1 establishes a crucial foundation. Before asking who is winning, we must ask how winning is being defined and whether that definition reflects reality or merely repetition. If victory is not defined by maps or headlines, how should it be measured? Strategic analysis relies on indicators that accumulate slowly but reveal direction. These metrics are less visible, less dramatic, and far more telling. The first is objective alignment. Has the original political goal been achieved? Not adjusted, not rebranded, but fulfilled. When goals quietly change over time, it signals friction between intent and capability. A campaign that begins with maximal ambition and ends with narrower aims reveals constraint, not success. Second is force sustainability. Winning armies grow stronger relative to the conflict. Losing ones rely increasingly on emergency measures. When equipment lifespans shorten, training cycles compress, and replacements arrive less prepared, capability erodes even if numbers remain high. Sustainability is not about how much exists on paper, but how much can be effectively deployed month after month. Third is economic resilience versus economic strain. War does not only consume weapons, it consumes opportunity. Infrastructure investment, technological development, and demographic health all compete with military expenditure. When long-term growth is sacrificed for short-term continuation, the cost of not losing becomes indistinguishable from defeat deferred. Fourth is diplomatic positioning. Winning states accumulate influence, losing ones expend it. The need to rely on fewer partners, accept less favorable terms, or trade autonomy for support indicates shrinking leverage. Even when alliances exist, the direction of dependency matters. Fifth is time itself. Time favors the side whose future position improves with delay. If prolongation worsens negotiating power, hardens opposition, and narrows exit options, time is not a neutral factor, it is a liability. Endurance without progress becomes strategic stagnation. These indicators do not deliver instant conclusions. They require patience, comparison, and context. But taken together, they tell a consistent story. Winning is not about continuing to fight, but about improving one's position relative to the starting point. The most dangerous myths are not the ones that misinform. They are the ones that delay recognition of reality. When survival is mistaken for victory, decision-makers postpone hard choices, and societies normalize losses that should provoke reassessment. Believing that winning is inevitable encourages strategic inertia. If success is assumed, there is little incentive to adapt, negotiate, or rethink. Errors compound quietly. Resources are committed to paths that cannot deliver the promised outcome. Over time, the gap between narrative and reality widens, making correction more painful when it finally becomes unavoidable. There is also a human cost hidden beneath abstraction. Wars measured only in persistence ignore fatigue, trauma, and demographic pressure. A society can endure immense strain for long periods, but endurance is not infinite. When leadership frames continuation as proof of strength, acknowledging limits becomes taboo. This silences necessary debate. Internationally, misreading the situation distorts responses. Allies miscalculate, opponents misjudge, and neutral observers draw flawed lessons. Future conflicts are shaped by past misunderstandings. If persistence is mistaken for success, future planners may overestimate what force alone can achieve. The final danger is historical. Long after the conflict ends, myths linger. They shape national memory, education, and identity. A story of "we were winning" can survive even when documents, data, and outcomes say otherwise. This makes learning difficult and repetition more likely. Part 3 delivers the core message. Truth matters not to assign blame, but to prevent repetition. Questioning dominant narratives is not disloyalty. It is strategic responsibility. The challenge posed by the title, "Still Think Russia is Winning?" is not an insult. It is an invitation to pause, reassess definitions, and replace confidence with analysis. In complex wars, clarity is not found in loud certainty, but in uncomfortable questions asked early enough to matter.